And now I believe we'll hear from Samtrans.
Thank you, Council, for taking time to hear our presentation tonight. First, let me apologize for being late. I'm the new communications manager for Samtrans and not being familiar with the area. I found myself having a hard time finding the location, but I appreciate so much giving me another opportunity to present to you our draft Samtrans service proposal. One of the things that I want to emphasize is that this is a preliminary draft that you're seeing. We're here to seek your comment. We are incorporating a great deal of public feedback through a series of community and writer forums. Before we finalize the presentation, incorporating all of this feedback and take it before our board of directors in January of 2013. So there's a lot of time here to hear from you, the public, your residents, and our riders regarding what we're proposing to do with these changes. The following presentation is a snapshot of the SSP draft plan. It highlights some of the findings that were a part of our 18-month study process and the recommendations we're making as a result of them. First thing that I would like to do is point you to, is the presentation being projected anywhere?
Is there a presentation? There is a PowerPoint.
Thank you. So the first thing I'd like to do is to give you the framework for what the presentation is about. And it's really to do three things. Give our writers more of what's working, less of what doesn't, and try some new things. The study looked at, thank you, all of the service options that we currently have available, recognizing that right now we're doing some things very well and we're doing some things very poorly, and we need to make some adjustments in order to better serve today's customer. Primarily, we're trying to streamline our service, improve our frequency, because we believe that the better frequency we can provide people, the more often they will be willing to ride us, and provide some alternative services to the traditional fixed route big bus services that we have in place now, with an effort of increasing ridership. In looking at our services, one of the key components in this evaluation was our budget, and our financial health is a consideration. We have a number of issues that need to be addressed, including a structural deficit that stems from debt obligations, including the BART payments on the BART extension construction, and debt obligations to the ongoing Caltrain operations. So when we looked at this service plan, we were trying to do more with what we have while still living within our means. We recognize that cutting service is a self-fulfilling prophecy, that when you cut service, you lose riders and you create a cycle of downward ridership. So what we're trying to do is improve our services to grow our ridership. Implementing this program will create a wellness plan for tomorrow's riders. It gives us flexibility to adapt as things change, and offers us a path for continuing to increase ridership, or continuing to increase service as we increase ridership by reinvesting in our system. In particular, the issue that we're presented with is what the foundation that we start with. We have not reevaluated our service in more than 10 years. And in that 10 years, population has changed dramatically, employment patterns have changed, and travel patterns have changed. And this plan is really intended to address those changes. One of the things that we looked at in particular was our weekday ridership. And what you see here are 4 different service offerings. Community buses, which tend to operate in isolated communities. They don't tend to connect to a lot of services outside of those communities. Express buses, local buses, which operate in communities but connect with things like BART, Caltrain, and other services. And finally, our El Camino Real core service. As you can see on the far left-hand side of this slide are our most heavily used services. Those 4 services make up about 50% of our ridership. They all operate on the El Camino Real. As we've gone through this study process, we've gone through 3 series now of public outreach to our riders and to the community. And the thing that we've heard consistently is you need to improve your core service, you need to increase the frequency, and you need to make it easier to use. And that's reflected in the ridership there. People want to use that service, they want us to make it better so it's more accessible for them, because it is a key transit option for commute throughout our county. But we don't want to stop there. We want to improve connections, east-west connections to our service as well. We believe that that's critical, and particularly in areas where there's high population and employment growth. The next metric that we looked at in evaluating our service was the route performance. And as you can see from this slide, 65% of our routes fall below that black line, which is the average for financial effectiveness and productivity. That means that the combination of the cost to operate the service and the amount of ridership and fare revenue that we're getting from the service are substandard. We need to raise the bar, and that's what this plan intends to address. So the service proposals cover 4 key areas. Service improvements, particularly along the El Camino Real, and enhancing service in high-demand areas, as I mentioned before. Modifying services, and that means improving some east-west services by streamlining them, increasing the frequency on those services, and of course, making some routing changes to those services and schedule changes. Discontinuing services, there are 5 routes in the proposal that are proposed for elimination. And finally, offering to implement new services. We're proposing 2 new routes and 2 alternative routing services, and I'll get to those in a minute. So the route service proposal for North County is covered on this slide, and I don't want to go into each and every one of these routes, but in particular, if I could call out the 140 and the 141, because I know those serve many San Bruno residents, and those are areas of concern. We are proposing to make some improvements and realignments on those routes to increase ridership and improve the frequency and shorten the end-to-end running time. That does mean that on the 140, there will be some changes, and I know of particular concern was service to the Bay Hill Shopping Center. The 141 will continue to serve the Bay Hill Shopping Center area, while the 140 will now route around it so that it has a shorter running time to get to Tan Fran. However, I want to emphasize that the school trippers on those routes will not be touched. We will continue to operate the school trippers. So these are routing improvements for non-school riders. In addition to those changes, you can see here there are some other proposals for the North County area. The others that would be of particular importance for your community, of course, would be the El Camino Real changes that are being proposed. Right now we operate 2 routes on the El Camino Real throughout the day, the 390 and the 391, as well as 2 other routes that operate during different parts of the day, the 292 and the KX. The 390 and the 391 are being proposed to be collapsed into one single route, as we have done on the weekends with our new weekend ECR service. Our goal with that is to actually increase the frequency of that route and improve access to it. We did this on the weekends as a pilot project, and we've already seen an increase in ridership because it's been easier for our riders to use. Since implementing it, we've seen a 1.2% increase over the last 4 weekends that it's been in service. In addition to that, we are proposing to make changes to the 292 and KX. This is a cost-saving measure. One of the things that we found when we surveyed our ridership was that most of our trips take place intra-San Mateo County. That's where the highest service demand is. But we're spending a lot of money and resources carrying riders into San Francisco. So in order to reinvest those resources in our intra-San Mateo County trips, we're proposing to eliminate some of our San Francisco services. And this slide contains that information. We would be proposing to run the KX and the 292 to San Francisco only during peak commute periods, eliminating off-peak San Francisco service, and we would be eliminating all of the 391 service into San Francisco as part of this proposal. We're in the midst, as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, of an extensive public outreach effort. We have gone to all of the city and town councils in San Mateo County, as well as the County Board of Supervisors. We have conducted a number of rider forums and public workshops. We're going out to the community colleges to seek their feedback, and we'll be holding 2 public hearings as well. Upcoming, we actually have 2. I know there's only 1 listed here, but we just the other day scheduled a second opportunity for public feedback. The first coming up next is Thursday, October 25th at our offices, and we will also be holding another rider forum in South San Francisco on Thursday, November 1st at the Magnolia Senior Center between 6:30 and 8 p.m. And that information is available on our website if anyone would like to attend that as well. And with that, I'm open for any questions that you have.
Any questions?
Through the Chair, earlier in the year when this was first proposed, there was a public forum proposed at one of the local schools, and there was a conflict, or there was a mix-up, and it didn't happen. So I was wondering, I'm only aware of one meeting in San Bruno, and that was at St. Bruno's Church, correct?
On October 11th?
Right.
Yes.
So there's no chance of possibly, scheduling another to make up for that other one?
I'm not aware of the elementary school.
I'm just saying, is there a chance that you can get another public hearing or another neighborhood hearing in San Bruno and not?
It's something that I can ask the team. We have had more than a dozen different events throughout the county. They've been heavily publicized and actually well attended, and we do have 2 more coming up. The one in South San Francisco would be accessible for San Bruno residents, but I'll be happy to ask the
I'm going to be a little terse here. You stated that you've gone to all the city councils and everything. We're dealing with community here, and as far as I'm concerned, it's got to go to the residents, and it's got to go to the schools. I mean, did you do an outreach at Skyline College? Did you go to any of the schools that have been affected by we've got a middle school that we've heard from parents that are very concerned about, their kids, even though you've made it clear that they may not be affected. But the word is not getting out, and they're sort of panicking. Sure. So I'm just saying.
We have offered outreach presentations to all of the schools and school boards of superintendents in the county. Not all of them have responded to us, but we would certainly be happy to do outreach to any of the schools who needed an additional presentation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
I guess real quick, going on something that the Vice Mayor, I mean, how will the San Bruno residents' questions, comments, where can they direct them so that that proposal can be coupled together when it goes to the Samtrans Board? Because obviously, as you just heard the Vice Mayor, and there are others that are hearing about it, want to be able to convey, communicate, have not attended, cannot attend those meetings, and what recourse or outlet do they have in order to get those conveyed through so it goes all the way to the proposal to the board?
So first of all, there are 2 meetings coming up. If they can't attend those meetings or would like to provide comments in another format, they're welcome. The presentation, as well as all of the documents related to this study process and research, are available online at this web address, www.samtrans.com/ssp. They can review all of the materials I've presented here tonight and more. And they can make any comments either in writing to the email address provided here, ssp@samtrans.com, by calling this number, or by contacting Samtrans customer service, which is 1-800-660-4287, in addition to attending one of the outreach meetings.
Thank you.
Any questions?
And just quickly, when will you be making your decisions?
We will take so what we're doing now is collecting comments through the end of this year. We'll be taking all of those comments into consideration, processing them, providing them to our board of directors in January of 2013. They will make their final decision in February of 2013. So we have plenty of time for public comment.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Anything else? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Stand up to the microphone, please. And give us your name and your street.
My name is Regina Diaz, and I'm
Right into the mic.
My name is Regina Diaz, and I live on Fleetwood. And I had a question about the 140 and 141. You said the school route or the school trippers will not be changed, but I saw that under the 141, but not the 140. Are they both going to have school trippers, or just the 141? And the 140 is being canceled?
Can I to the microphone? Thank you for your question. Neither of the routes are being canceled. The school trippers that are currently in place on either of the routes will continue to be operated. The only change that will impact the school, and I'm sharing with her, I've got a copy of the route that's proposed, and I'll leave this with your city clerk. We just developed this today in response to some questions we got from your city clerk. The change that may affect some middle school students is on the 141, there are some middle school students near the area of Skyline College, and they're using the 141 now. They may have to make a transfer, but we estimate that to be a very small percentage of the students. They're currently riding a regular bus, not a school tripper bus. All of the school tripper buses that are currently in place will continue to be operated. Does that answer your question? If you need further, I'd be happy to walk through this with you one-on-one. Yeah, I'll give you my card.
And then I just wanted to say one more thing. I really don't think the residents of Bruno are aware of these changes. I was on the 140 today, and I was asking the people on the bus if they are aware of the proposed changes, and not even the bus driver knew what I was talking about. Certainly none of the people who got on the bus knew what I was talking about. So I think it would be helpful to have maybe just a little flyer on the bus, proposed changes and the route that's being proposed. I mean, that kind of information would directly reach the intended people who would benefit most from the information.
I appreciate that. I'm sorry that your bus did not have flyers on it, and I will make sure that we find out what's happening with outreach on that line.
All right. Thank you.
Speaking of feedback, is there on the Samtrans website, is there a before and after current map changes of each city's location? So the route changes? Because I heavily take sometimes 390, 391, and I'd like to see a current change where there's a map that shows visual image provides it's a lot easier to know, hey, maybe I shouldn't take this route, or this is the alternate route that I'll take. And through your website, is there alternate feedback mechanisms? Because what you've provided is there's a lot of council meetings, and like one of the council members said, you have to reach out to the community, because a lot of folks, as you can tell by the attendance, are not going to the city councils. They're not going to get the message, the core audience. And so I'd highly advise that you seek out, schools, talk to the principals. A lot of the schools, if you engage a conversation with the principal, oftentimes they'll be able to choose a location and they'll be able to, instruct each class in like 9th grade, 10th grade, so forth, whatever appropriate it is. And so also having alternate feedback mechanisms within your website where there's a feedback forum, or at least getting something started where people can participate and you can know, hey, we're changing 390, so if you're located near this school, here's what you'll need to do. So current and then proposed changes, something to that extent.
Thank you. All right, once again, thank you for your presentation.